I never imagined that one ordinary afternoon could change my life forever. I was 16, bored, sprawled across the living room couch, scrolling aimlessly on my phone, when my mom appeared out of nowhere with that mischievous glint in her eyes. She was always into weird stuff, she'd say, her homemade remedies, her strange potions, but I never expected her to actually use magic on me. "Sit still," she said, holding a small vial filled with sparkling liquid. "This will be fun." I laughed nervously. "Mom, I'm not a kid. What is this?" But she didn't answer. She just waved her hand, whispered some words in that strange, flowing language she always muttered when she thought I wasn't listening. And before I could react, I felt a sudden warmth flood my body. At first, it was subtle. A tingling in my fingers, a softness spreading through my arms. I shook it off, thinking it was just my imagination. But then I went to the bathroom and caught a glimpse of my reflection, and froze. The person staring back at me wasn't me. My jawline had softened, my eyes looked wider, my lips fuller. My hair, which had always been short and messy, now fell in soft waves around my face. And when I looked down, I realized the curves I had never had were there. I stumbled back, heart hammering. "Mom, what did you do?" She smiled calmly, almost too calm, as if this were completely normal. "I made you a girl," she said simply. No panic, no explanation, just those 5 words that sent my world spinning. I laughed nervously, thinking maybe I was imagining things. But every movement, every glance in the mirror, confirmed it. My body, my voice, even the way I felt inside, it was all changing. The next few days were surreal. Walking down the street, I caught people staring at me, not in anger, but in curiosity. Friends whispered behind my back, classmates looked at me differently. I tried to explain it, to rationalize it, but even I couldn't. I had gone to bed as a boy and woke up as someone else entirely. At home, things were no easier. My mom treated it like nothing had changed, as if turning her child into a girl was a casual weekend experiment. She bought me clothes, soft dresses, leggings, blouses, and encouraged me to try makeup. At first, I resisted. I was embarrassed, terrified, confused. But there was also a strange curiosity I couldn't ignore. Late one night, when the house was quiet, I snuck into my mom's bathroom and tried on one of the dresses she had bought. The fabric felt soft against my skin, and when I looked in the mirror, I didn't recognize the person looking back. My hands, delicate and smaller than before, smoothed the fabric over my hips. I whispered to myself, almost shyly, "Is this me?" I started experimenting in secret. I tried different outfits, playing with makeup, brushing my hair until it shone. My voice softened when I spoke aloud, each word feeling new, strange, and exciting. At first, it was embarrassing. I laughed nervously at the sound of it, but gradually, I began to feel curious, even thrilled. School was harder. People noticed the change immediately. Some whispered, some stared, some smiled. I didn't know how to respond. I stumbled over words, blushed constantly, and felt every glance like a spotlight. But in those moments, something unexpected happened. I realized I was starting to enjoy it. The soft brush of fabric against my skin, the compliments I received, the way people treated me differently, it was intoxicating. One day, in the cafeteria, a girl smiled at me. "Hey, love your dress," she said casually. My heart raced. I stammered a thank you, and for the first time, I felt seen, not just as a person, but as me. That small interaction sent a thrill through me I couldn't explain. I started experimenting more openly, wearing dresses, skirts, and cute tops. Each new outfit, each new look, gave me a small burst of confidence. At home, my mom was supportive, though always with that sly, magical smile. "You're beautiful," she said one afternoon, brushing my hair behind my ears. "You just have to own it." At first, her words made me defensive. "It's not my choice," I would argue. But deep down, I knew she was right. Even though this had been forced, there was a freedom in exploring it, in learning who I could be. Soon, I started venturing out more. Trips to the mall, walks in the park, even small social gatherings, all became experiments in living as this new version of me. My first time wearing makeup to school was terrifying. I caught my reflection in the hallway mirror and froze, cheeks burning. But the smiles and compliments I received felt amazing. There was power in this persona, a sense of confidence I had never known. Then came the challenge, public recognition. A boy from my old class stopped me one afternoon, blinking in disbelief. Wait, is that you? My stomach dropped, and panic surged. For a split second, I wanted to run, hide, disappear. But then I remembered my mom's words. Own it. I took a deep breath and smiled. Yes, I said softly, almost shyly. It's me. The shock in his eyes was immediate. He looked like he didn't know what to say. And that moment, as terrifying as it was, became a turning point. I realized that hiding was exhausting. Pretending to be someone I wasn't. It was over. If I was going to survive this magical transformation, I had to embrace it. Fully. Over the following weeks, I learned to love my new body, my new voice, my new presence. I experimented with hairstyles, with makeup, with outfits that highlighted my curves and my softness. I learned how to walk, how to laugh, how to tilt my head in ways that felt natural, confident, mine. Even school became more enjoyable. I wasn't just surviving, I was thriving. And then came the final revelation. My mom's magic hadn't just changed my body. It had unlocked something inside me. I discovered a side of myself I had never known. A side that was confident, daring, and empowered. I discovered that identity isn't just about what's outside. It's about how you feel inside, about the courage to embrace who you are, even when the world, or your mother, throws everything you know into chaos. The first time I went to a party fully dressed, with my makeup perfect and my hair cascading around my shoulders, I felt invincible. People looked at me, admired me, and I finally realized that being forced into this didn't take away my choice, it gave me one. I could decide how to live in this body, how to own this identity, and how to let the world see me. When I finally looked in the mirror alone that night, I smiled. Not just at my reflection, but at myself, the girl who had been forced, the girl who had struggled, and now the girl who had grown into something powerful. My mom's magic had changed my body, yes, but it had also sparked something far more profound: self-discovery, confidence, and empowerment. Now, when I walk through the world, I walk tall. I dress how I want, I speak how I want, and I move with a confidence I never imagined I could feel. People notice, sometimes they whisper, sometimes they smile, but it doesn't matter. Because I am finally me. Fully, unapologetically, and beautifully me. And as for my mom, well, she still smiles that mischievous smile, knowing she changed my life in ways I could never have imagined. But now, I don't see her magic as something that controlled me. I see it as the spark that helped me discover the courage, freedom, and strength I never knew I had inside. At first, I hid everything. I couldn't bear anyone seeing me like this. Not friends, not classmates, not even my little brother. Every glance in a mirror was a mix of terror and fascination. My mom had given me skirts, soft blouses, even some delicate jewelry, but I wasn't ready to wear any of it outside. Instead, I experimented in secret. I remember the first night I tried on one of her dresses alone in my room. It was a pale pink with lace along the neckline, soft against my skin. I hesitated, my hands shaking as I pulled it over my head. When I looked in the mirror, my reflection stopped me cold. The girl staring back wasn't just my body, there was something more. A new presence, a softness in my features, a subtle confidence I had never felt before. I touched my face, traced my jawline, my lips, my hair. Everything felt foreign, yet strangely right. Curiosity overtook my fear. I experimented with my hair first, brushing and curling it until it framed my face perfectly. Then came makeup. At first, it was just mascara and lip balm, tiny touches to see how they changed me. But each time I looked in the mirror, I felt a thrill. I whispered to myself, almost shyly, could this really be me? And slowly, I began to realize that it could be. Walking in my mom's clothes, feeling the soft fabric against my skin, I noticed a strange exhilaration. My movements changed naturally, the way I held my hands, the sway of my hips, the tilt of my head. I laughed softly at myself, embarrassed, but there was also pride. I was discovering a part of myself I had never known. The hardest part was school. People began noticing subtle changes. My posture, the way I walked, the softness in my voice. Some friends whispered, glancing at me in the hallway. I felt my face heat up, a mix of fear and thrill coursing through me. Every stare felt like a spotlight, yet I couldn't stop moving, couldn't stop experimenting with this new version of myself. One afternoon, I sneaked into the bathroom to try on some of the jewelry my mom had given me. A delicate bracelet hugged my wrist, a tiny ring glittered on my finger. I twirled in front of the mirror, spinning slowly to watch the fabric of my blouse and skirt flutter with my movements. I laughed quietly, nervously, marveling at how natural it was starting to feel. I had spent years trying to figure out who I was, but suddenly, everything clicked into place in a way I never expected. By the end of the week, I was more daring. I wore a soft cardigan over a fitted skirt to school one day, my mom's subtle encouragement ringing in my ears. "You're beautiful, own it." I caught a few glances, some curious, some approving, some questioning. My heart pounded, but instead of retreating, I walked a little taller, smiled a little brighter, and realized something extraordinary. The fear was starting to fade. At home, my mom watched silently, that mischievous glint in her eye. She never forced me anymore. She simply encouraged me. "Try different colors," she said one evening. "See what feels right." And I did. I experimented with soft pastels, bright patterns, and even some bold accessories. Each choice, each small step, gave me a taste of freedom, a sense of empowerment I hadn't imagined. The most surprising moment came one night when I caught my reflection in the hallway mirror. I had spent the day experimenting with my voice, laughing and speaking softly to myself, practicing gestures I had seen in magazines and movies. I froze, staring at the girl in the reflection. She wasn't just my body. She was me. Fully me, in a way I had never imagined. My heart raced, but it wasn't fear this time. It was wonder, excitement, and a strange, undeniable joy. It wasn't perfect, of course. I still stumbled over words, tripped over the unfamiliar sway of my hips, and struggled to reconcile my past with my present. But the more I explored, the more I realized something incredible. This wasn't just magic. This was self-discovery. The body had changed, yes, but so had my mind, my feelings, my confidence. I was becoming someone new, and I was starting to like her. Public outings were still terrifying. My first trip to the mall in a full outfit was a battle with my nerves. Every reflection, every glance, felt magnified. But gradually, I began to notice something. People didn't reject me. They noticed, yes, but often with curiosity or even admiration. And each small victory, buying a top, trying on shoes, laughing at a compliment, gave me courage. I was learning to move through the world as her, as me, and it felt powerful. By the time the week ended, I had discovered more than just clothes and makeup. I had discovered that I could inhabit this new identity fully. That being a girl didn't mean losing myself. It meant finding a side of myself I had never known. And with each experiment, each secret adventure in mirrors and fabrics, I grew braver, more confident, more alive. It happened sooner than I expected. My first real test outside my home came when my mom suggested I join her for a small neighborhood gathering. My heart raced at the thought of leaving the house fully dressed and made up. For weeks, I had experimented in secret, mastering outfits, hair, and even my voice. But now, everyone would see me. I slipped into a soft lavender dress she had picked, its fabric clinging gently to my curves. My hair flowed over my shoulders in loose waves, my makeup subtle but enhancing. My hands trembled as I checked my reflection for the last time. "You can do this," my mom whispered, smiling. I nodded, though I wasn't sure I believed her. The party was intimidating at first. Neighbors and acquaintances mingled, their eyes occasionally flicking toward me. I felt like every glance was an X-ray into my soul. My heart pounded so hard I thought it would escape my chest. But then something unexpected happened. A little girl smiled at me and waved. "Hi," she said. And just like that, a wave of calm washed over me. I realized it didn't matter if I felt nervous. I could still exist in this space and claim it as my own. Conversations flowed awkwardly at first. Some people whispered, some laughed nervously, some stared. I stumbled over words occasionally, my voice softer and higher than I was used to. But gradually, I found a rhythm. My mom's advice echoed in my mind. Own it. And I did. I laughed, I gestured, I smiled, and with each small action, my fear diminished. By the end of the evening, I felt free. Then came the real challenge, recognition. One of my old classmates, someone I had grown up with, spotted me across the room. His eyes widened. "Wait, is that really you?" My stomach dropped. The old panic rose. I could feel my legs trembling. For a moment, I thought about running, hiding, pretending this was all a dream. But then I remembered the nights in front of the mirror, the hours of practice, the careful steps I had taken to embrace this new identity. I straightened my shoulders and smiled. "Yes," I said softly. "It's me." His shock was palpable, but after a moment, his expression softened into curiosity. "Wow, you look amazing," he said, almost shyly. And in that moment, I realized something powerful. The magic hadn't just changed my body, it had given me a choice. I could hide in fear, or I could step forward and be seen. I chose to be seen. From that night on, my confidence grew exponentially. I began to explore public spaces more boldly, walks in the park, trips to the mall, even casual school days in my full attire. Every outing, every interaction, was a test I passed with increasing ease. People noticed, yes, but not always in judgment. Sometimes in admiration. Sometimes in curiosity. And with each glance, each compliment, I realized how much power there was in owning my presence. School became a different experience. I walked through the halls taller, more assured. I experimented with makeup openly, wore skirts and dresses confidently, and laughed freely with friends. The fear was still there at times, a flicker in my chest when someone stared a little too long, but it no longer controlled me. I had found a strength I didn't know I had, a courage born not from choice, but from discovery. At home, my mom watched with that familiar mischievous smile. She didn't force me anymore, she simply encouraged, whispered words of reassurance, and celebrated each small victory. "You're beautiful," she said one afternoon, brushing a strand of hair from my face. "And you're learning to be yourself." I realized then that her magic wasn't about control. It was about awakening something inside me I hadn't yet seen, the courage to be authentic. The final confirmation came one evening when I looked in the mirror alone. I studied every curve, every line, every detail of the girl who stared back. She wasn't a reflection of my old self forced into a new form, she was me. Fully me. Confident, empowered, and alive. The magic had started it all, yes, but the journey, every step of discovery, every moment of fear and excitement, had made it my own. Now, when I walk through the world, I walk tall. I dress how I want, speak how I want, and carry myself with a confidence I never imagined I could feel. People notice, sometimes they whisper, sometimes they stare, but it doesn't matter. Because I am no longer hiding. I am fully, unapologetically me. And my mom, she still smiles that mischievous, magical smile. But I no longer fear it. I have learned that sometimes, being forced into change is exactly what you need to discover who you really are. Her magic gave me a body, yes, but it also gave me freedom, courage, and a voice. A voice I will never let go of again. I am a girl now, yes, but more than that, I am myself. And that is the most magical transformation of all.